Hey guys, Dan here from SDI. Today we're going to show you how to install the SDI rear brake kit for Xpeditions. First step, let's get the wheels off, which we already started, but let's get these babies out of the way. One thing that is important is we do need to measure the ID of your wheel to make sure that these are going to fit. So before you go and install the kit, you want to measure the inside of your wheel. We've tested on Metal Effects 15-inch wheels. It works on stock, but every wheel manufacturer is different, so you don't know. So what you want to do is go to the smallest part of your wheel, and you want to make sure that you have 12 3/4 inch room. If it's tighter than that, your caliper is going to rub the inside of the wheel. These are monster, 17-inch wheels with 37s on it, but our 15-inch wheels, they ended up right around just over 13 with Metal Effects, but it's definitely enough room. So if you end up buying a set of brakes and it doesn't fit, we'll return them, no problem. We'll make it easy on you. The other option we have for the rear, if that's the only place that you're going to have a problem, is we do have a standard size rear disc that we could swap it out for, but you're not going to get as effective braking with a smaller disc. All right, so obviously we have one of our prototypes already on this unit, but we're still going to show you how to take it apart. The first thing and it's easiest to do it right at this step, is these little 10 millimeters. Just go ahead and remove them right now while the caliper is still bolted, and we're going to pull these off. Whoop. And all these do are, as things wear out and shake around, it just makes sure that the brake pad can't fall out. So the next step is to actually go ahead and remove the caliper, which we are using. I grabbed the wrong socket. We need a 15. And just go ahead and loosen that baby up. So I'm going to show removing this guy. Just hang that down. All right, we're removing the whole rotor. Obviously your stock one's going to look a bit different. When you're installing the rear is more shallow. The front, as you can see, the thickness changed. Don't put a front on the rear because nothing will line up. So make sure that this one stays on the rear. Simple as that. The next step is to go ahead and loosen off the set screw that holds the pin in place. Doesn't even have to be removed all the way normally. And then you can go ahead and push the bracket all the way in, and then you'll be able to remove the pads. Usually it's easiest to get one side than the other. It's a really good time to just go ahead and put new pads in right now. We've actually tested the Super ATV pads. We actually found them to be slightly more grippy, so that was a pretty positive change. But anyway, pads are out. Go ahead and pull the stock caliper right off. So one big thing is to make sure that these rubber boots and everything is clean. You can clean them out with a bit of contact cleaner because we are going to apply more grease to the pins. So I just want to make sure everything's nice and neat. On the bracket, you're going to see there is an L and there's a right. There is a left and a right for the rears. Front doesn't matter, rears does. And what we're going to do is the pins that actually slide into the caliper, we're going to go and put just a slight little layer of grease on it. We like our SDI green grease because it's good with water and it lasts a long time. You don't need to put too much in just because you don't want that grease going into the brake pads, obviously. But you want this to, slide freely onto the caliper. So you go ahead and line this thing up, and you're just going to press it all the way into place. And make sure it's seated all the way down. And then we're still doing R&D and going to put this back to our first prototype sets. But that being said, we're going to use the same pads. Highly recommend, though, this is just a good time right now to change the pads. So slide that guy in. Obviously the other one, pad material goes into the center to face the discs. And there's that. So now all we need to do is put the 2 bolts in that capture the brake pads. We're going to go ahead, stick them back in, make sure the pads are in. And what you don't want to do is over tighten these. They only need to be tightened to 44 inch-pounds. It's not holding anything on, it's just a stop. And if you crank on this too tight, it technically could spin the pin in the bracket, which you don't want to do because that's like a high press fit. So we're going to go ahead and torque this to 44 is going to be our number and everything. This is 44 inch-pounds. That's all it needs. So make sure you do both sides. Now that we have both stop screws in, we're going to go and leave this until it's installed on the rotor, and we'll get the rotor bolts back in. It's important to use blue Loctite 242, and we're going to torque those to 44 foot-pounds, not inch-pounds, foot-pounds on the big bolts. Do this. To make all of this fit and make sure you're adjusting it right and, you know, do it with the wheel off, I'm going to stick a couple lug bolts on it and just go ahead and tighten that up. That way it's completely seated and then everything will fit and be in the right spot. Grab our 15 torque wrench and make sure it's at 44. Get the top one snug, and I'll go ahead and bottom one. I'll go ahead and torque this. We're going to make sure everything's moving free, and now we can go ahead. With this being tight, we can adjust the set screw with the 5mm Allen. And what you want to do is just turn this thing in until the caliper basically touches the pads. These discs are pretty wore out. You want to back it off a half turn, and then that's set. So we have all this into place. That's pretty much it. This is done. We'll just pull these back off, put the wheel back on, and stock is 120 foot-pounds, but you know, check with your wheel manufacturer. They might have a slightly different torque spec. Just remember, make sure you put the rear left on the rear left. You put the left hanger on the rear, and everything will go together easily.